Welcome back to the lab. Right, first of all we jump straight into showing you something. You guys will like this. This is my little tool that I made for putting a one of those on the end of one of those. It's pretty simple. Isn't that satisfying? I'm probably going to crack this one because I'm yakking away on the phone, not watching what I'm doing. A little bit more and it starts to curl around, and that's enough just there. Pretty awesome, eh? So I've got to do 6 of those, and the reason for that I'll explain in a second. Okay, the reason we've made 6 more of those is there is a problem with that. I pressure tested it. I made well, there it is right there actually. I made a blank that I can put across here with a bit of duct tape. It actually seals it up alright, and bolted onto my lower intake manifold there. Same thing with the throttle, and pressurize it, and at about 5 or 6 psi we're getting bubbles around all these joins here. Now these are all welded on the inside, and they all look pretty good, but I guess there's probably right where my finger is there. Can we zoom in on that? Little things like that. There's probably a little pinhole there. So I mean, it's not actually a big deal that there's tiny little leaks there, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And I had a crack at trying to fix it up, and because that's our old mate cast aluminium, just not going to get it any better. Spent a lot of time on it, wasted my time, made a stuff up, and had the old TIG set too high. We went to fill a little pinhole, blew a hole about the size of a 50-cent piece in that tube, and I got most of the way through fixing it. I was like, mate, what are you doing? Just chuck it. So that's scrap metal. We'll oh god, I've even damaged my fitting here, bashing around on the bench. It'll be alright. I'll undo this weld here. I'll just take this whole top off and start afresh. So I'm sort of a quarter of the way there. It's quite a big job doing this part of it, but the good thing is these had there's quite a bit of shape in here because the original manifold took a hard turn as soon as it came through this plane here. So there's well, you'll be able to see it as I roll it over. There's a bit of misalignment in the tubes that does a bit of a wobbly as it goes through there, which wouldn't have been ideal for airflow. But now when we weld this in here, we're going to be not bad. We're actually a little bit bigger than what that manifold is, so while I'm at it, I'll probably port this manifold to suit this plenum, take the one out of the car and put that in. I'll get Colin's profile cutting to vapor blast that. Actually, I should take that. No, I can't take it down today because I'm busy using it, but I'll get it down to them and we'll vapor blast that. Make it all look like super duper. Some of these are quite close to the edge. That's fine. I'll build that up with a little bit of weld. Might even actually be able to weld around the outside of these just because it's slightly different shape. I should be able to get in there, and maybe not so much in there. Those two in the middle are quite close. Something I didn't catch onto. You see that distance there compared to that distance there. So when I made this, I spaced all these equidistant. That's actually wrong. They're not supposed to be. So that's why these ones are leaning this way and these ones are leaning that way. It's because I didn't see this, didn't pay enough attention. Trying to get it done quickly to save some time, effectively money. It's burnt me. Got to do it the right way now, so never mind. We'll carry on. We'll get this done. Everything always looks pretty good at this point in time before you put your welds on and destroy it. Sometimes you destroy it. Not always, but there we go. So that's actually it's a far better job than what the other one was anyway. Everything lines up much nicer and all sits there perfectly by itself in exactly the right spot. Don't have to have clamps or anything like that. So that's all pretty good. Now I've got to figure out exactly how I'm going to make sure I can do every single weld perfectly on this. A little bit of a tricky one to figure out, so we'll see how I get on. Alright, run out of day for today, but well, there's those dogs again. Hopefully successfully welded these all up from the inside onto the flange. The old welder played a spaz, so we started off and we were doing alright. They're not the prettiest welds in the world, but these will get ground flat in the milling machine. And I cut that edge there a little bit shy. These are a bit bigger than what I was going to use originally, so I've just added some onto there. That's fine. Build it up, machine it down, a bit like that. Turns out my cheap old welder there, if you run it for too long, it starts throwing a bit of a spaz, and it forgets how to weld. You can turn it off and let it cool down, change nothing, fire it up again, and you're back into reasonable welds. So that's not nice. That's not good at all. Have to look into getting a decent welder one day, I suppose. That one does the job for now. But these are lovely, clean shot straight down into the cylinder heads. So I've set all those at 15 degrees because it just happened to work out nicely with the original factory ports. They come around the corner and they head up about 15 degrees, so that will work, and that will fit inside here. Like I say, I'm just going to undo this along here, along there, put that onto this, and then we're good. I do still have to reinforce the top of this. By the time I've done that, it's almost just make the whole thing and chuck that away. Nah, there's a couple of fittings and stuff it takes a bit of time to make, but this is bin material. I mean, someone could use it on a jet boat or something, it would be fine, but I want it to work properly, so I don't want leaks. One or two small little pinholes, a couple of bubbles is fine, but not every single join. So yeah, it's going to be better than that anyway. It has to be better than that. This is just no trumpets. Little short tubes straight into here, so it was at a big angle on the curve there, so be good to get rid of that. Alrighty, now we're getting serious. See, I built up all this stuff. It's a bit more than what we needed anyway, so I'm all set up ready to face this off when I get that to that point, and get rid of all the excess material, most of it anyway. See, I've started a little run along here, so although this looks like poo-poos at the moment, by the time we've done all the appropriate things, it's going to look beautiful. Lovely, lovely. Gotta love all these fancy toys. A bit better than doing it with a Dremel, eh? Nice. 10 minutes later, we're making an excellent mess, leaving some material beyond what it would have had normally, just for a bit more guts, a bit more strength, seeing as we're running boost through it, and the factory one wouldn't, and the factory one was cast aluminium, had a lot more support beyond here than what this does. Very raw at the moment, and test fit it, make sure it fits in the car, see if I need to trim any more off. If I don't, I'll just give it a tidy up, probably just cheat and use the old flappy disc on the angle grinder and should be fine. Can't do beyond here without shifting things. Well, I could do, I suppose I could lift the tool up so it's only just above that, and then yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that when I've done the other side. Shift the tool up 0.5 millimeter beyond here, and I can chomp all this crap off here and tidy it up later. And like I say, I'll face that off before I take it out off here. Right, there we go. You'd have to excuse the dust mask making sound a bit fuzzy. So that's pretty much ready to go. I will use this top tank again, so I'll just cut it along this weld. Take this piece. It's likely going to head in that general direction at great speed, and weld that into that. Sounds really easy. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, it looks like that. So make sure you put them around the right way, of course, because the flange is slightly different. What do we got? Yeah, we got the same height, same trump. Well, actually, ever so slightly shorter trumpets, which is fine. That gives it more room to breathe at the top. But yeah, got the flanges the right way. That's that. So this is scrap metal. Bye. And there's our top tank ready for mating to the other piece. Look at that weld, eh? That's beautiful penetration. Excellent. That one not so much, but I can tidy these up now. Get rid of the vivid lines and actually have a bit of a buzz around the inside of these ones, make it stronger. Might put that reinforcing I've been talking about inside here rather than on the outside. Make it stronger and look nicer and stop that resonance we had up the top. So, yep. It's not all bad things having to do something like this. Do you reckon it'll fit? See that? I put front throttle, so I knew which way around it would go. But actually it's the back, it's not the front, but never mind. Yeah, a little bit of a gap to fill while I weld, but that's no problem. It's the right shape. Trim off those corners, it's going to work bloody perfect. Perfect enough. And there we are, that's all welded up. Pretty much back where I was before I decided it was a good idea to pressure test the other one, which, I mean, I could have avoided doing that. A lot of people wouldn't bother, they'd just, yeah, she looks good, put it in the car, and you wouldn't know any different. It would have run fine. Just being a bit fussy, perhaps. So, I could tidy up a few more of these welds. I've welded these pipes around the inside edge here. I could tidy them up, just fill in these little bits just to make it look pretty. No one's going to see that, and that's going to seal fine. It's heaps for the gasket to seal onto that. So, nope, I'm not going to bother. Some of them are mint. That one's actually a tiny little bit there. You know, you can put a little chamfer all the way around there. Same with that. In fact, that's about the only one that you couldn't just put a little chamfer on it and make it go away and make it look good. You know what I've done now. I've just convinced myself that I need to weld that little bit, polish it flat, maybe this one here, and then just put a chamfer on them all and it'll be beautiful. Bloody hell, too fussy. Right, I'll go have a drink and do that. Right, pressure testing. So I've got my backup gauge, because I don't believe the one on the regulator over here, that's had a bit of a hard life. It tends to read 0 when it's actually not. Silicone hoses will let go in theory. They should pop off long before this explodes, I guess. So that's a little bit of a safety. But I've got a shut-off valve there, and always watch the gauge while you're opening the valve. Which, of course, now I've got my bloody hands full with the camera. It might be a bit tricky. Jam that in there like that. That's pretty clever, right? So we're at this parallax area there, about 10 psi. There's a leak coming from here somewhere. Oh, sorry, if I drove that properly. So one of those tubes is leaking. There must be a pinhole in that weld somewhere. The rest of them are all okay. There is a leak in here that I need to rectify, and there's a couple of others that I've found. Now I'm using water, soapy water. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm calling that a fail. It's not really. It's a tiny, tiny leak. It's barely worth worrying about, but I've decided to set my tolerance at 0. So no leaks at all. So I'll get on with that, fix that one. There were a couple of, surprisingly this mess here didn't leak, but there were a couple around here that had pinholes. Still hard work turning the handles all the time. What do you reckon? Explosion about to happen? Oh, yeah. Mean as, bro. So something like that, maybe. I'm not 100% convinced that that's going to be the deal. Definitely can't leave these at 90 degrees on the end. They probably need to be 30 or something like that, or radiused perhaps. Yeah, radius would do it. But by the time we have a throttle on here with some ribs and stuff on that, and then the matte black intercooler thingy and the HKS blow-off valve with more fins and ribs, then that'll start to tie in. I think it'll look alright, and it'll certainly stop the top of the plenum oil canning, resonating, vibrating, whatever, and it'll get rid of heat. Any heat that's in the inlet manifold, it'll dissipate it via the heatsink, or try to at least reduce it, except for the fact the engine bay temps could be hotter than that. Unlikely. That's bolted straight onto the motor, so that probably heat soaks to, say, 70 degrees or something like that. So that should be getting rid of hot stuff. That's the song, but I'm not going to sing it. Okay, so I've trimmed that up a bit more. I actually took another rib off it, another fin, so I've cut off two to get it looking a bit more aesthetically pleasing. I do think it's going to look alright with our throttle on there, etc. Where's our throttle? It's hiding under the car here. So, I mean, look, it's got fins on that, hasn't it? That goes together quite nicely. I should have put a smaller tip in the middle and put the lab across here before I weld it up. I could do that. And I can do it all crooked so it matches up our logo thing that we have. Where's in here somewhere? Watch this. This is a example of a perfectly clean, tidy toolbox. See those? Look at that. They're pretty cool, eh? And I've never bothered putting those on anything. I could actually just glue one of those onto the front of that. See if I can get one out with one hand. Oh, look. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. I'm going to go inside. There we go. Got one. Bloody awesome. Should we do that? Yeah, I think we'll do that. I should sell those, eh? I should drill a hole in them and then they can be just like a keyring tab. $9,000 each. I only need to sell 4 or 5 and I can put a sequential gearbox in this. Yeah, nah. Alright, so I'm going to finish that up tomorrow. I'm going to have a play with the welder with the bits that I've cut off. Where are they? Here they are. So I've used this stuff before. This is the extrusion that I've cut the end of it off. And as far as I can remember, there were some issues with welding it, and it may have been me, or it may have been that this is not easily weldable material. This could be what they call free machining, which has a high silicon content in it, so that you can buzz through it nicely on the mill. But then it is difficult. Swap the camera. But then it's difficult to weld without getting lots of holes in your weld, getting a lot of porosity, and we don't want that. So the top of that manifold, if that's going to weld to there nicely, I will take this piece here. Dirt, dirt, dirt. Shut up, dogs. I'll chop that out, and so the air can go straight onto the back of this, and it'll help with getting rid of any heat out of the air. Not that it's going to do a lot, right? It's not an intercooler. It's actually more about getting the heat out of the plenum. It'll take a tiny little bit out of it, but not heaps. But, you know, you might as well try and help it. Alright, that'll do. That'll do. I'll do that tomorrow, I reckon. Put it back on the car, put it to test. It's got to be better than this one. And this one, I don't know if I told you guys, this one had a crack right across there. So, it's ugly welding, eh? It's no surprise it cracked. So that would have been, it was built in a hurry, that one. That would have been leaking a little bit, losing a little bit of horsepower, but this one definitely does not now. She's 100% leak proof. Looking forward to getting it on there and getting it going, getting it tuned, etc. See if it makes any more power. See if we can pick up 5 or 10 kilowatts or something like that. Cool. Right. Cheers, mate.